The Pearl River Delta, formed by China's third largest river, is located at the far southern end of China and is the first place spring arrives in the whole country. Spring is a season of rejuvenation and renewal. China's sweeping economic reforms began in the countryside. In 1979, the implementation of the Household Contract Responsibility System gave 800 million rural people rights to use and manage land. That awoke farmers' enthusiasm, and villages took on a whole new look as the lives of countless rural people improved dramatically. A group of cities formed on the Pearl River Delta, and the area became one of the fastest points of economic growth in China. Like the rest of China, they became more prosperous and beautiful. Urban reform began in the Pearl River Delta. In the early 1980s, the area witnessed the opening of Shenzhen and 4 other special economic zones, cities that opened China's windows to the rest of the world. These architects were the polishers of those windows. Over more than 20 years of development, these cities combined to form an economic belt that became one of China's most prosperous regions. The spring wind of urban reform that has swept China started in these southern cities and filled the whole country with hopes of economic development. Summer represents flourishing vitality. After spring planting, Shanghai, followed by the Yangtze River Delta, welcomes a flourishing summer. In 1992, the Chinese government issued the Pudong Development Plan, and Shanghai went through another period of rapid flourishing development in its economy. To date, Shanghai has attracted over $80 billion in foreign investment. Shanghai stands where the Yangtze, China's longest river, meets the Pacific Ocean. Thanks to China's sustained economic development, Shanghai's port in 2004 handled the third largest number of containers of any port in the world. The harbor at Shanghai's port receives over 40,000 ships a year. Every day, many boats ply out from Shanghai port and shuttle back and forth between China and the rest of the world.
Good morning, Captain.
Good morning, Mr. Pilot.
Hey.
Thank you, fine. How are you?
Hi, fine.
You are welcome.
The prosperous cities of the Yangtze River Delta support Shanghai, which rose more than 600 years ago from a concentrated cluster of rich and populous small towns. Economic reforms injected new vigor into the area, but through the process of modernization, the old towns still maintained the appearance of the region's ancient culture of the Uyue kingdoms. Shanghai, pearl of eastern China, is now the country's most important commercial city and economic center, the locomotive of China's economic development. Autumn is harvest season. China's western region has a long, rich history. Today, due to environmental and transportation factors, its economic development noticeably lags behind that of the eastern coast. In order to change this economic imbalance, in 1999, the Chinese government issued the Western Region's Development Strategy. The western regions have rich reserves of precious underground resources. Across the land are dispersed China's main plateaus, basins, and mountain ranges, which together form breathtaking landscapes that attract visitors from all over the world. China's west is one of its most important agricultural bases. Every autumn, the western lands become scenes of bountiful harvests. Many of the West's beautiful natural landscapes have fragile ecologies. Therefore, in the process of Western development, China is stressing the concept of sustainability. Reasonable use of natural resources is being promoted. Different kinds of natural protection areas are being established, and farm fields are being returned to prairies and forests in order to provide sound protection of the area's natural environment so life can flourish and the farmers and nomads that have lived here for generations can prosper.
我想吧，我们家的生活离小康水平也不远了。
Over 2,000 years ago, people built the world-famous Dujiangyan irrigation system, which has been listed by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site and still provides effective flood protection and irrigation water for farmers' fields. Today, Chinese people are building the world's biggest water conservancy project, the Three Gorges Dam. This is the Jiuquan Launch Center, from which China sent a man into space aboard the Shenzhou 5 spacecraft. The Western development strategy will surely bring new opportunities for growth to the region. Winter is a season filled with new hopes. The longest winters in China are experienced in the northeast, which extends to a far northern latitude. Since the 1950s, Northeast China has had its own industrial system and been the national base for heavy industry. The area is the center of China's coal, steel, and automotive manufacturing industries, providing a strong base for industrial development across China. As a result of adjustments by international economic structures and the exhaustion of resources, Northeast China's former prosperity has turned to a burden. Since 2003, the Chinese government has made boosting the Northeast national policy. Revitalizing the Northeast's industrial base and the Western Development Strategy are two wheels rolling together that will give rise to new regional economic structures in China. A series of concerted changes will allow the train, automobile, and aircraft manufacturing, heavy machinery, and other traditional industries to enter new periods of prosperity. In the quiet winter, China awaits the coming of a new spring. China looks forward to an even more beautiful 4 seasons in the future.